Hello and welcome to another How to OU at USU. Today we will be looking at assets. Um, quick reminder what assets are. Use this. That's what they are. Log into OU Campus, click the green edit button, and we can start using assets. Let's go ahead and check them out. So assets are a little bit different, right? They're a little bit more complicated. They're either super complicated code or code that needs to be used verbatim on numerous pages. So let's try and add one. If we go to the weird icon of refresh or loop, or I don't know, it says insert asset. We'll click that, and these are all assets. They are assets that have been created by someone else, and we need to learn how to create assets. Can't do that from a normal page, so they're confusing. Shoot. We'll exit without saving. We'll say, yeah, that's fine. We'll keep that. How do we create an asset? Oh, crap. Okay. We go up to content. And then there's this assets option. And I can right click on that and open it in a new tab, or I could literally just click it. I like to open things in a new tab because I like to keep things. These are a whole bunch of assets, either created by me or someone else, that allow us to do things. And we're going to create a new one. So I go up to the green plus new button. These are the types of assets that you can create. We'll just go down the list and we'll create them. There's only 5, so it shouldn't be too bad. Web content. We'll say web content. So that's what it is, right? Description. Those are useful for future you, so you should definitely add them. Lock to site. Always make sure to click this checkbox. If you don't, then it becomes an asset that's available to everybody. And if it's available to everybody and someone else decides to delete it because they don't know what it is, they can. And then your asset's gone and you are screwed. So lock it to the site so that way it can only be used on the one site. Also, these access settings, very important. Access group. So this just locks it to the site, but this is what actually controls who can see it. So if you don't want other people to see it and stuff, which you shouldn't because other people don't want to see your crap, lock it down to one of your sites, whichever site you have. I'm just going to click Levi Sanchez, and then who is it available to? These are basically the same. I always make them say the exact same access group, and you should too, because that's smart and good. And then the actual content. We don't exactly know what a web content asset is yet, right? So we're going to just add some stuff. Add some stuff. And we'll go ahead and click create. Ooh, all right. Add some stuff. And we publish. And that asset has been created. I can check out the file, go back to all of the assets. And if it was the only one I checked out, I could order by status and I could figure out which one it was. It's this web content one. It's got this DM tag. We've learned those from other things. I don't know. Go back to our page and we'll click edit. And we've created that asset. We'll go to insert asset. And then we see the list of all of them. So we'll have to filter. We remember this one was called web content. And there we go. Shows up twice. Why does it show up twice? I have no idea. But it does. And they're the same, right? So they have that same ID, same create date. Yeah, they look the same. They're the same. Click insert. And I get this weird box with like a striped thing on it. And that's because assets cannot be shown in the WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. WYSIWYG. So I'll save it and we'll see. Add some stuff. Okay, cool. So if I had some text like this, let's say for some reason I need this add some stuff to show up on 20 different pages, and I need each of those pages to say the exact same thing in the exact same way. I could then use a web content asset like we just did to make that happen. And then if I needed to, I could publish this real quick so that way it's live on the web, right? Add some stuff that shows up there. I can just go back to the actual asset and I could, I don't know, put a number 9,000. I don't know. 20%. I don't know. And we can save that and publish it. One of the nice things about publishing assets too is that after you've published it, it'll go through, find every single page that has that asset, and then update that page as well. And you can see this sort of notification kind of letting you know about that right there. Go ahead and publish. Number 9,000. I come back to the web page and I can see that that's updated. Sweet. You can do that with all assets. Assets are really good for having on multiple pages, and that can be helpful, you know. Let's create another one. Plain text. All right, I'm guessing that this is a lot like the last one because it is. We'll call it plain text. Description, plain text. Lock to site. Remember to lock to site. Access group. Who do we want to have access to it? Only me in this situation. You would use your site, whatever your site is. And plain text. So we'll just say plain with too many L's, and then we'll get rid of one of them. Plain text. Save that. Cool. Publish. And we can go ahead and filter by our plain text assets. And look at that. It's the only one. We could see that DM tag. I could copy that, and I could go into edit, and then I could add a couple spaces by pushing enter. I could go into source code, and I could just like paste that in there, and that would work. But or I can also just go through the WYSIWYG and click insert asset, and then I could filter again, so that could be useful if you have a whole bunch. Just click it, add it. This one only shows up once. Why? I don't know, but it does. So save, same idea, basically the exact same as the web content one. Okay, is what it is. Add new, source code. So this is actual source code. So source code. Lock it to site. I would only be using this if you know enough about source code that you have something very specific that you want to do. So that means you know a little bit about HTML, CSS, JavaScript. You're going to add that in here and then have it do a thing. So I'm going to have an H1 tag or something. This is one way you could add like a modal or something. So a modal being like a pop-out window. We're not going to do that, but I could just add some HTML markup in there. I could also add some inline CSS. Don't do inline CSS, it's bad. Text decoration, underline. That seems pretty simple. I think I spelled all that right. No, I didn't. Underline. Yeah, source code. Source code. And then I can create this asset. And I could just put that on the web page, but say you wanted a modal or something and you needed more complicated HTML, then you knew how to make it. You can make it in an asset and put it on the page. We'll filter by source code. We can see that there's a bunch of them. There's that source code one. We can go in and edit it if we need to. And to get it to show up on the page, just add a couple spaces, insert asset, and we'll look for source code, right? Because that's what we're doing. You can see some people are using assets to do like CSS and some other cool stuff. That's how. And then source code, can't display, save it, and then you can see that it has an H1 that's got a strong tag with some inline CSS to underline it. Don't do that. Don't do that. Never use text decoration underline. That's terrible. Save underlining for links. Just because that's more accessible, and that's a much more standard convention. Everybody's used to that. If I see a web page that has something to underline, I know it's a link, but I click on this and this is not a link. So that's annoying. Don't do that. Don't be that person. So I got rid of the text decoration, and you can see just a regular, some basic HTML markup. Cool. What else can we make with assets? Image gallery, cool. So this is actually super useful, right? Image gallery and lock to site. Look at that, it's already locked to site for us since image galleries are treated a little bit differently. they have to be locked to the site. It's the only way they can store photos. So you don't have to worry about that stuff. I go ahead and set the access group, set that stuff. I click create. It's created, but oh, okay. So I got to add the images. All right, and I add them. We're gonna use these pictures of welders and lathes and mills from the metal factory because that's what I have on my computer. Cool. Why would you do this? I don't know. Maybe you wouldn't use welders and stuff, but you might use, whatever thing you need, whatever you need an image gallery of. Make sure to publish that so it exists. There's that asset ID again. Wait for it to publish. See down here. There we go. Published. What do we call it? Image gallery? You don't have to check the file back out too. You just got to make sure it publishes once, right? And we'll just add it to our web page. Insert asset. And this is an image gallery. We'll filter by image galleries. And it's the image gallery of image gallery. And we can save that. And we can see that, hey, this image gallery pulls through. It shows them one at a time in like a PowerPoint type presentation. If you wanted to change that, there's a way you can. If you check out the file, go to the page properties, you can specify the gallery options. Right now it's set to just bootstrap carousel. If we click like a lightbox image or whatever's available, these change kind of often. And you can see it's changing over here. You can see lightbox is a different style of image gallery. So if you wanted, you could make it lightbox and check out your images that way. Whatever your use case requires or is. Let's go on. Form. All right, let's just create like a simple contact us form. So contact us. Form. New form. We'll call it new form. And we'll just create a contact us form, but we'll call it new form because that's easier to remember. Lock it to the correct access group. Lock it to who it needs to be available to. Make sure that that checkbox is also clicked. Kind of like image galleries, we can see that it already automatically is because they also have to be. Still double check it. Don't be lazy. And then we can add form elements like a single line. So we'll say, okay, email address, and I just tab through. It'll automatically create this name. You could read that and know what it's doing, but just let it do its thing. It needs to exist. We want to make this required, so we'll click required. Validation, email address, failure message. We should probably add that. If we try to create it without adding that, it'll throw this scary red error, and then we know to go fix that and say something like, please provide a valid email address. Cool. And then email messages. So with these forms, you can set them up to automatically send an email out to whoever you need to. So you could send this to yourself or to someone or whatever. We'll just say no reply at noreply.com, because why not? Subject, you can specify that, and then you can click this include all submitted values, and then everything that we have a form element for will pull through on this email. Just send this to my work email or something. I don't know. Just leave it blank. Oh, and then these also. Okay, so we need a success message. Thank you. That's a good one. I like that one. Failure message. I usually use something like, please make the necessary corrections and resubmit the form. And then save results in database. Make sure you do that so that way you have the data from the form submissions. If you don't do that, then you're not collecting data, and that's useless. So remember that. We'll try and create it again. I think I fixed all the errors. Nope. Oh, new errors. Okay, so I do need to include a 2. Let's just get rid of the email. We won't have this one send off an email. That's fine. You can do that because it's saving it to a database. So create, publish. The asset has been created, it's been published, and then we can add it to our web page by checking out the file, going to edit, and add the asset, which in this case is a form. So I'll filter down new form. And new form cannot be shown, but if we save it, then we can see, hey, it asks for that email address. I forgot to say, hey, provide your question, comment, or concern. Has a submit button. Here we can publish this real quick. We'll see it on the web page. It'll ask just for an email. It won't send out any email, but it'll save the results. So I can be like, save results. At email.com. It'll send that. Thank you. That's not useful. We'll go back. We'll edit our asset form. Check it out. Edit. And we will add another element. A multi-line text field. That looks good. And question. And we'll make it required too, so we can save that, publish it, and then we can see, hey, now that's been updated. We ask the question, we get their email, people have to do that to submit. Then if you want to look at the previous form submission, since nobody's getting notified of submissions because we didn't set up an email, check out the file. Good. That's been how to do assets in OU campus at USU. So. Okay, thanks and bye.